Mandela used to say that Africa is a rich continent, but poor people. And that's the question we need to address. Africa is a very rich continent. It hasn't got too many people, given the space we have. Very rich in resources. And we have really mismanaged the continent for a long time. Of course, we had a bad history from slavery to colonial rule, etc. But that finished 50 years ago. It's time for us to pick up ourselves and move forward. And we cannot move forward without good governance.
Today, we are here to celebrate this award, which challenges all of Africa to come together to establish what will be a first in the world, a benchmark for good governance.
It now remains for me to announce the first ever winner of the Mo Ibrahim Prize for achievement in African leadership.
If we are able in Africa to produce leaders of the quality of Nelson Mandela, which are the best leaders of the 20th century, I am sure there are going to be more Mandelas in the 21st centuries. We need to believe in ourselves.
It is a statement, and it is the credibility of this committee that it has the guts to stand up and say, no prize this year. This is a prize for excellence in leadership. This is not a pension.
We wish leader to present you with the prize.
It looks beautiful.
And you have on the other side your name here engraved. Nelson Mandela, our honorary laureate. We're really honored for you
That's good.
to really accept this.
That's very good.
We're really honored.
We are trying to define governance. What is good governance? What governance mean? What is that basket of political goods government need to deliver to their people? And we went out to measure it.
They've got all this data that they've collected on the different challenges and the magnitude of the problem as well. And the nice thing about it is it's about Africa.
It looks beyond the immediate bad news that are very well reported from Africa. It looks at some deeper trends and at some practical solutions.
It goes down to the grassroots of trying to find out how governance could actually impact the lives of citizens in every facet of the community.
Countries can see how they're performing and how they're performing in relationship to their neighbors. And so they can benchmark their activity and have something to achieve. And then the citizens of those countries also can use that index to hold their governments accountable.
We need the ordinary man and woman in the street to be able to talk about governance.
Africa is a dynamic continent which is changing every day. And the numbers speak for themselves.
Well, I think one of the big differences between the Mo Ibrahim Foundation and its forum and all of its activities is how it's data-driven. And so the fact that they take a theme like regional integration or urbanization this day or agriculture in the past, and they really dig deep to find out what's happening on the continent. So it's not just concepts and theories, but it's driven by a real analysis as well as real projection. So it gives the opportunity to plan forward. And it does so with some of the key leaders across the continent, you know, the head of the Africa Development Bank, the head of the UN Economic Commission for Africa, you know, the head of the International Trade Center. And I've named those three institutions because they're not only participating in this forum and shaping the future of the continent, but they're also mentoring young Mo Ibrahim Leadership Fellows.
Thanks to the Mo Ibrahim Foundation.
My scholarship at the School of Oriental and African Studies.
At the University of Birmingham.
At London Business School.
My mentoring by Donald Kaberuka.
Was a world-class opportunity.
And I take that learning
and experience
back to Africa for a better future.
For the next 10 years and beyond.
I think that especially having an international event like this in a place like this. And we've had quite a few, but something this major, bring in all these different presidents, bring in all these different dignitaries. It gives exposure, it gives hope, it gives a place to dialogue and have different ideas.
Mo Ibrahim Foundation has an amazing ability to bring people around the table. These are the people that at the end of the day would be responsible in the country, in the financial institutions, at the global level, at the regional level, at the African level.
The fact that there's this big family of people who care about fighting corruption, promoting transparency, good governance, and good growth is incredibly important.
Well, I think perhaps the most important contribution of the Mo Ibrahim Foundation is that it's put governance so firmly on the map that it's really part of the fabric of the narrative around Africa, all debate around Africa at a policy level, at a private sector level, and between the two.
I'm really disappointed in a number of African leaders who try to ride cheap popular waves by pandering to some of these lowest instincts and attacking lesbians or attacking homosexual or whatever, as if this is the main issue facing us in Africa. We cannot eat, we cannot find clean water, we don't have power.
When government and civil society work together, we can do great things.
It is not foreign aid, it is not other people will come from across the sea to help us. We have to help ourselves.
Many people ask, what have you achieved in 10 years of struggling through the foundation to improve governance? And I'll be the first to say, very little indeed, because countries cannot change overnight. We have to understand that change is a long-term process, and we should never be arrogant. And we accept that there is a silver bullet which will move a continent forward. I wish we had one, but it is a long, slow process, and we're gonna keep doing it year after year. Other people are joining us, other forces are at work. Young generation of Africans is coming up and really embracing all these new ideas about transparency and good governance. And that's why I'm always optimistic about the future of Africa. We will succeed, we'll do the job. I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, the job will be done.